Composition is what takes a normal picture to make it into a beautiful photograph. So you can take a picture of something very common, frame it correctly, get everything looking right, balance the picture right, put the points of interest in the right spots, and you get that picture to look extremely, extremely nice. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do. So that's what I'm going to show you. If you just bear with me for a few minutes, and you'll come out of this a winner. So enjoy. All right, now in composition there are what people call rules, and there's different things. I don't believe in rules. I believe everything you do, you can adjust however you want to do it. If you feel putting something smack dab in the center is appealing to you, then by all means do it. But anyhow, there is something called a rule of thirds, and what the rule of thirds is if you cut your picture into like think of putting a tic-tac-toe grid on your picture. You got 2 lines going this way, 2 going this way. There's what you want to do is put your points of interest onto the lines, the thirds over here, and that's where you want to put what's the focus of your picture is into these different spots. You want to avoid the center. Somehow it just makes the picture more appealing. So try it, see how you feel with it. It's called the rule of thirds, but like I said, there are no rules. Do what you want to do. And it's very simple. It's a very simple concept, and it's easy to follow. When you look in your camera, if you focus in the center, and then just shift a little to the side, and get it. There's nothing in your camera that's going to show you. You have to, imagine it. So you have to have your imagination, which, for an artist, I'm sure it's easy. So, use your imagination when you're looking through that thing. See the tic-tac-toe. Focus in the center. Move it over and up, and so you have it on the points, the intersecting lines. On those 4 points that are there, those are like the key spots. Those are the places that you want to put your focus of interest. And that's the basics of the rule of thirds. Very simple stuff. Another very important part of composition is to give a sense of perspective. So you accomplish that by using the correct lenses and the correct focal length. Perspective is all about is showing people, giving them a depth, giving them a feeling of 3 dimensions, so that they could see, where you were seeing from, and basically, I like the idea of wide-angle lenses to show a perspective. It gives a greater idea of volume and space of where you were. So if that's what you're looking for, and that's the idea you want to convey, is how big something is or how spacious, or you could show those things in a still photograph by just concentrating and focusing on the perspective, and knowing that you're presenting this perspective to people, and they can see things basically from your perspective, from your eyes, the way you saw it. You use your camera to show that. Perspective is a big part of pictures. It can take an everyday picture and turn it into a award-winning photograph, or into a beautiful work of art that you could sell and make money with, or however you want to do. So perspective, find nice angles, cool different vantage points, and give that perspective, give that visual of what you want it to convey. If you want to convey the perspective of a bug, get close to the floor and lay down if you have to, and take a picture up, and get that idea of the huge world around this small thing. So that's perspective for you, and that's another thing in composition that you can focus on and concentrate on. Another thing that you can keep in mind when you're doing your compositions is lines and patterns. So lines can really add to the perspective of a picture, and they can also lead what do you call the person looking at your picture? Yes, your audience. You lead your audience's eyes to a specific point in the picture by using lines. There's lines everywhere, and you can use lines you can use them as leading lines. You can use them just to set up the structure of a picture. Lines are very important, and they're everywhere. You can see them. If you just learn to see the world around you and see it through a photographic, through a photographer's mind, then you can see things, and then you know how to line things up and get everything working out, so that you can get these lines fade away, or they draw your attention somewhere, or they just really make a striking image. So keep that in mind. Lines are always really good. Like I said, patterns as well. If you see patterns that fade away patterns and different patterns, For some reason, the human brain likes to see that. I don't know if it just makes you think or what it does, but if you see something that you find interesting and you want to take a picture of it, do it. Chances are somebody else or 1,000 other people or 1,000,000 other people are going to think that it's interesting too. We're not all that unique. So even though you are a little snowflake, when you see patterns that you want to do photographs of, they're out there, they're everywhere, just like lines. Patterns are everywhere, and they make for great photographs. So something about them is interesting, and people love them. Another fundamental of composition is balance, and balance can be achieved, by having two items of the same size on both sides of the picture. I also, I'm a big fan of balancing a picture with empty space on one side and a filled space on the other. Some people will say that's off balance, but to me, it can bring balance to a picture if you have, something here and nothing here. They'll balance each other. It's negative space and positive space, and it works out. So you don't always have to have two things in your picture to have it balanced. You can use space and filled space, and that's just my philosophy. That's the way I like to see it. Like I said, these aren't rules. They're very bendable. They're very breakable, and you make them whatever you find in your pictures, that you like, or what you find in other people's pictures that you like, use it. So balancing a picture, like I said, it's so that the picture doesn't hurt your eyes to look at it, or it's not it doesn't just feel funky to look at it. Sometimes pictures feel like they're gonna fall over or something. Me personally, I like all kinds of pictures. If it's striking, it's striking. But balance is something that is weighed on very importantly, and it's like I said, it's part of composition, and there's a lot to composition. And if you keep all these things in mind, you get fine pictures. So. Another thing to keep in mind is simplicity. Make your pictures nice and simple. This again goes to isolation, but it's also it's on a different level of not keeping things too complex. Don't make people work too hard to see what you're trying to show. And the simplicity. Sometimes the most simple things are beautiful. I personally am a big fan of Macintosh and pretty much everything they do, Mac computers and whatnot. But if you look at a Mac computer, it's the simplest design. They're simple. They have very defined lines, very smooth textures, and if you look at even Mac's advertising, everything like that, they're simple. It's simple and it's beautiful. So if you can use if you're taking pictures of objects or whatever, and instead of having it on a desk or with stuff around it, if you could isolate it and put it onto a white anything, or any solid color, and just simplify the picture. Take out the background. Don't have anything distracting in your picture that doesn't belong there. Anything that's not necessary to convey the message that you want to convey, remove it. Remove it before you shoot it, and then shoot the picture and project what you want to project, and only that which you want to project, and that is simplicity. So simplicity is one of the things that is something that I enjoy in photographs, and maybe you do too. I don't pretend to know too much about the equation behind the divine proportion, but I do know that it makes this cool little spiral, and it's something that's found in nature everywhere. The different proportions, the spiral is found something that like in a snail shell or in seashells and different things. But there's a spiral. It's also a shape of squares. So one smaller square with a bigger square above it. But when you graph it all out, so anyhow, the divine proportion, if placed over a picture, can be used as some sort of a template to see. It just makes beautiful pictures. When a picture is placed where that spiral leads to the direct focus of the picture, or that's the spot that you want to be the main focus of the picture, if you lay a divine proportion over that and it happens to land there for some reason, it's just a good way to check if your picture is composed correctly. It just looks great, looks fantastic. So the divine proportion, it's a very abstract concept, even though it's a very specific mathematical equation. But it's a way to just check your composition, and you'll know if something looks good. You don't have to have someone tell you it looks good for you to know it looks good. But the divine proportion is just a way to double check it. It's a second opinion. So that's what the divine proportion is, and that's how it applies to composition in your photography.